Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 6 of What if Deku was adopted by Mirko? If you notice some errors or some missing parts in the video, please tell me in the comment down below. Hope you'll enjoy the video. Izuku POV. The day after the sports festival, Yui told me that her and a few of the girls wanted to hang out. Apparently, one of them asked her if she could during the festival, as she says, and another asked shortly after. Keeping myself from looking a little mean, I asked Yui if it would be fine if Shiozaki tagged along as well. She didn't have an issue since Nejire wanted to join as well. To be honest, I'm a little happy she did since I haven't gotten the chance to really talk to her during the time before the sports festival. I'm heading out, mom. I called my mom, who was training a bit in the indoor gym we had, on a punching bag. Awesome. What are you gonna do with your dates today? Well, Shiozaki likes bookstores and bakeries, so I thought of going and trying that new bread shop and heading to the library. After, I was thinking of doing the tea shop Yui and Nejire liked and going from there depending on who the other two she invited were. Mom punched the bag one last time, sending it a distance before smirking at me. Look at you, making plans for your little harem, haha. I started to blush a bit as mom kept laughing at me. To be honest, I didn't feel as bad when the punching bag came to hit her in the face. Well, I guess karma won with this one. Anyway, later. I went out of the house to walk towards the train station. There, I met Yui and two of our classmates who were dressed in rather nice attire. Yaoyorozu? Kendo? I glanced at them, seeing Yaoyorozu on a nice dress shirt and some black skin-tight pants, while Kendo had a white dress that went down to her knees and a biker's jacket on. Hey Yu Sagayama. Nice job yesterday winning the sports festival. It's nice to see you as well, Yu Sagayama. I glanced both down a bit, realizing that both were wearing outfits that really emphasized their already womanly charm to the point I couldn't help but turn beet red. Is it weird what I'm wearing? I'm pulled out of my thought process to hear Kendo ask this. No. You both look very pretty. I tried averting my eyes to see Yui in a yellow top that covered down to her belly button and some red short shorts to begin getting a nosebleed. Seems Izuku likes our attire. Now let's go get Nejire and Shiozaki. The train started to pull in for us to begin boarding. This is going to be a tough day for me. Mirko POV. After Izuku left and I finished my workout, I decided to grab some grub before getting a call from the stupid bird. Dude, get the message. I'm not interested in dating a wuss like you. Oh come on Mirko, just lighten up a little. If you don't, your son's gonna look like he's got more game than you. I rolled my eyes at this before answering. The last thing you said to my son was what you wanted to do sexually to me. As far as I care, you can lose your dick to a rabid dog for all I care. Ouch. I started to hear a knock on the door to walk over. And another thing, Hawks, stop sending me lingerie, that's fucking creepy. I thought the black suited you nicely. I'm hanging up now. I dropped the call to open the door. Hell, once I opened it, I saw two faces that I wished I'd never see again for as long as I lived. Fuck. Hello there Mirko, is Izuku around? Midori is. I remained silent while watching both of them for any form of action. The asshole father was holding a cocky grin on his face, while the woman was rather self-restraining for some reason. What do you want? We just want to see our son. Right, Inko? He jabbed the bitch's arm for her to slowly nod. Well, that sucks for you. Izuku's out right now on a date with a couple hot chicks. That's okay, we can wait. These two didn't go anywhere for a solid minute and just lingered by my front door. You haven't seen Izuku for years and didn't give a shit that he was in the ICU. Why do you care now? Because we wish to make amends with Izuku as his parents. I stopped for a minute before shouting at them for using the word parent to describe them. I'm not having this argument here. I'll listen to what you gotta say inside, but it better be good. I opened the door for them with the jackass father walking in with pride. Pompous prick. For some reason though, the woman seemed a little hesitant to come in. Sorry for intruding. And here I thought my biggest issue was dealing with the idiot that has his brain between his legs today. What else can make this day become a shit show? After shutting the door, I walked to the kitchen table where they were sitting. So, why come into his life now? I sat with one leg over the other as the prick started to speak. We feel absolutely horrible for what we did to Izuku and wish to make it right. If you allow us to take him back, I can tell you that we will do right. For who? Excuse me? I corrected myself as I pointed out the obvious. You want to do right, but is it for you too or Izuku? Please let me explain. We only want to take Izuku back and help with pulling the issue of taking care of a teenager off of you. The same teenager that you didn't have a problem with throwing on the streets at the age of 4, that had a weak quirk as you call it. But things will be different now. How? The prick was searching for words to explain before coming up with an argumentative point. He's our son. That means we should decide what is best for him. You lost that privilege when you kicked Izuku out. I couldn't hold my anger in anymore to stand up in anger. Do you even realize how many issues you gave him for just throwing him away like garbage? I found him crying in a pile of trash trying to hide from the world. He was lucky he still had his eye at the end of this. The amount of emotional issues he has is so messed up that he feels as if people are judging him on his scar whenever he walks out to the public. Yet after all the issues you've given him, all the pain, you still think you have the fucking right to call yourselves his parents. That's bullshit. Oh yeah, well, we're his parents by blood. All you are is just a cheap imitation of us that the kid made when he had nothing. I'd rather be the imitation if you're the best example of a biological parent. I wasn't losing my ground on this matter and wanted nothing more than to kick the guy in the face. Only thing stopping me was the negative backlash that would happen for Izuku. Izuku is happy and healthy right now, no thanks to either one of you, and I plan to keep it that way if I can help it. And if you dare think for a second that I'll let you both take away his happiness, you better hope I missed leg day that day. I stomped on my seat to have it shatter in a million pieces. Now get out. The prick looked at me in anger before leaving in a huff. This isn't over. Izuku is our son and we'll fight for him if we have to. Funny that you only do that now when he's got everything going for him. Later, you piece of shit. I slammed the door in their faces before seeing my phone go off again. Hello, I answered in anger before hearing Ryuko on the other side. I didn't know you were this angry right now. Is everything alright? Yeah. Sorry, Ryuko. What's up? I was going to ask if you wanted to grab lunch, but if it's too much of an issue then I won't push it. I remembered what Izuku said about his plans to agree. I don't see why not. I want to make sure something doesn't happen also. I'm not letting those bastards mess with Izuku's head. Izuku POV. After meeting up with Shiozaki and Nejire, we decided to head into town to stop at a bookstore that had quite the selection. Inside, Shiozaki and Yaoyorozu found a book or two they liked and decided to get it. Since we were technically on a date, I paid for them as well as carried them. The next stop on our little journey was a motorcycle expo that Kendo seemed to enjoy. From what she explained, she's always enjoyed them and was sorta picked on for being a bit tomboyish. I honestly found this rather interesting about her. Even though she was judged for it, Kendo never let what others say bring her down. To some degree, I found it a little inspiring to say the least. After this, we decided to check what movies were playing to only find that none of the good ones were going to start until later. With this, we decided to stop at the tea shop I planned to bring the girls to, as somewhere that I knew Nejire and Yui would like. As we entered inside, the cashier remembered us to smile. It's nice to see you three again. Where's your smaller friend? She said she had a family thing today and couldn't hang out with us. Yui answered the cashier as she led us to our table. While there, a waitress came to give us menus before giving us time to look at them. They seem to have a nice selection of tea here. Yeah, it's a really nice shop. Nejire answered with her natural bubbly attitude before the waitress came back. What can I get you 6? I'll take a black coffee. Jasmine tea for me. Some Earl Grey would be lovely. I'll get a sweet tea. I'll have green tea. Can I get a green tea as well? The waitress had our orders placed down before something caught my eye. You have a special going on? Why yes, you can opt to get a small set of mochi or a small muffin with your tea for a little extra. I glanced at everyone who nodded. Can we all do that? Sure. Once she got our order finished, she left to give it to the back to handle. So Midoriya. Could you play something for us? Yaoyorozu seemed a little uneasy about answering. Actually, I suggested this place for that as one of 2 reasons why. I was a little happy before pulling my guitar out of my case. So what do you girls want to hear? Oh. Maybe something from the West. Western, huh? I think I have something. I started to tune my guitar before starting to strum. As the song began to reach the vocals, Kendo and Yaoyorozu started to go wide-eyed watching me play. People around us started to tap their feet to the rhythm a bit in satisfaction with what they were hearing. When I was singing, I glanced at Yui and Nejire with it being almost as if I wanted to have them answer the lyrics. Eventually, the song came to its end with everyone in the shop clapping. That was awesome. The shop owners let you do this? Sorta. It's more like they want people to enjoy their time here and are willing to let me play for it. Could you sing something else? Perhaps something unique? Yaoyorozu had stars in her eyes as she questioned me. Sure. Let's see. What's unique? I began remembering a song that I found online to sing. This one's a little embarrassing to sing, but I'll try to do it the best I can. When I began to strum, everyone listened carefully as I started to sing. The first verse wasn't that hard since it wasn't exactly strange. Once the second verse came, let's just say I felt very uncomfortable singing since it was kinda sensible. I tried to ignore this and shut my eyes so I didn't have to see anyone that might be unsettled for me to sing it. Once the end came, I opened my eyes again to see the girls a little flushed from what they heard. Sorry. That one was kinda stuck in my head and I'm sorry for having you hear that. I couldn't say anything else other than that before seeing some people I wish I didn't walk into the shop. Oh no. I started to shake a little seeing my old parents in the shop. Izuku. Are you okay? Yui tried to help me, but I was starting to feel bad memories crawl inside my head. Do you mind if I sing something a little personal? None of the girls argued as I started playing. As I played, my mind went to the days before I was kicked out of my parents' house. For the most part, they weren't bad with them seeming to act like any other parent would to my knowledge. When the memory of my diagnosis with my quirk came, the image of them kicking me out came in. While singing, I started to feel something fall on my hand to notice it was a tear. I was unintentionally crying. When the second verse came, my memories on the streets came with the images of how cruel some people were. I'd try and get help from people that passed by, but none wanted to. When I began trying to rummage through garbage just so I could eat, the thought of the cut I had came in with all the pain and red I would see. My mind finally came to the night I could barely move anymore to the point I laid down and was prepared to die. When I stopped strumming, everyone looked at me amazed I played what I did. Izuku. Are you okay? Nejire looked at me with sympathetic eyes as I tried to convince her and myself that I was. Why yeah. Just a bad memory in me. That was kinda deep. Didn't know you had something like that in you. I nodded at Kendo not realizing I had that in me either. I started to feel arms wrap around me to notice Yui and Shiozaki hugging me. If it's something you want to talk about, we're here. It's okay to tell us what you feel, Mr. Cottontail. We won't judge. I tried to not bring them into this, but one of the two people I'd rather not deal with right now walked directly up to our table to smile. Well, if it isn't Izuku. How have you been, son? I glanced up to give a weak smile. Hey dad. Long time no see. Yui and Nejire glanced at dad with an evil stare to realize now where that came from. Why did this have to happen? I didn't want to do anything but enjoy a nice day out with everyone and not cause problems for anyone. Meanwhile, Mirko POV. After finally finding the tea shop that Izuku and everyone likes, me and Ryuko walked in to hear him play some kind of deep music. Oh, crap. Who fucking ruined his good time? Heading inside, I noticed a pieces of shit in the shop to understand why Izuku was playing a moody song. Rumi, should we intervene? I noticed a prick walk up to Izuku's table to begin speaking. We go in now, it'll blow up in our faces. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. This was the exact thing I wanted to avoid. Izuku POV. What, not gonna give your old man a hug? Dad said this in a joking manner with sweat coming off of me. Sorry. It's just a little. I mean, why are you here? His smirk went to a face of remorse. I'll be honest, Izuku, me and your mom are sorry for what we did and want you back. Please come back, son. My hands started to shake, afraid of what I say, thinking he might be sincere. I don't know. It's a lot to take in. I was on edge. I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing I physically knew I could do. I'm sorry, girls. I need to go. I paid for what I had and walked out the door with my guitar on my back. Before I got far, my father grabbed my shoulder. Izuku, say yes and we'll be a family together. I was on the verge of tears before going into a full-fledged run as far as I could. Nejire POV. After seeing Izuku leave, I went right up to Mr. Midoriya and socked him in the face. He fell to the ground before noticing me in front of him. What the hell's your problem, skank? Are you trying to screw with Izuku's life more than you already did? He tried getting up before Yui did a charging kick to his stomach. That was for nearly putting Izuku in a panic attack just now. Shiozaki, Kendo, and Yaoyorozu came out to see us, drawing a crowd. Hato, why are you doing this? Kodai, relax. Both Yaoyorozu and Kendo held us back the best they could, while the son of a bitch got up. Who exactly is this guy and why are you two so worked up? This bastard is Hisashi Midoriya. Izuku's biological father and the same piece of garbage that abandoned Izuku. The two realized immediately who he was with, Kendo cracking her knuckles. "You're the people who threw Mr. Cottontail out on the streets." Everyone turned to see Shiozaki with a face redder than red. "How dare such filth like you tamper with such a kind and caring kindred soul as his? The fact that such a blessing was given to you and you threw him away is enough that I wish for the likes of you to fall into the deepest depths of hell and suffer for eternity as you groom the charred remains out of Lucifer's beard." Shiozaki began panting with everyone looking at the normally calm woman. "Another solid punch would have been good for me. Way to go the extra mile, girl." A woman left that looked like Izuku's mother, while his dirtbag father continued to argue with us. "What makes you kids understand anything? Izuku is my son, so that means I decide what is right and best. If you don't like what I deem is right for him, then you don't have a son, you piece of shit." Out of nowhere, Mirko and Ryukyu walked over to interrupt the jerk's conversation. "The boy that you think is your son was abandoned at the age of 4, with you officially losing the right to call him that. If anything, you're no different than a stranger to Izuku now. You have no right to call him that, and I'll be damned if you ever get that opportunity. Izuku is happy now and is better off if you and that bitch you call a wife are out of his life permanently. Now I need to go find my son. He's probably in absolute hell right now because you wanted to screw with his brain." Mirko walked away while Ryukyu came over to talk to us. "I'm sorry this had to happen, but can you all help us find Izuku? Both his mother and myself are very worried about him and want to know that he is safe." "Sure. I'm kinda worried for him too. As a my Kodai, would you know any places where Mr. Cottontail would go if he's depressed?" Yui thought before saying a couple. "We split into 2 teams with me having Yaoyorozu and Shiozaki. If you see him, call someone." We began heading out with me asking Tamaki if he'd keep an eye out, saying something happened to Izuku and he disappeared in the city. He agreed with us, keeping our eyes up in hopes to find him. Meanwhile, Izuku POV. I found myself running aimlessly to anywhere I could. I didn't want to be bothered by anyone. All I wanted to do was just be alone. Eventually, I found myself at a pond in front of a bench. I didn't know where I was, but I honestly didn't care at that moment. I sat down to think of what my father said. He wants us to be a family again? My head was running in circles right now. He looked like he wanted to truly apologize and reconnect, but something seemed off. I thought it was true, but it could just as easily be a lie. I don't know. I just don't know. My head was in shambles right now. I didn't want to leave Mom, but I also want to believe in the people that are my real parents. Do I believe that my real parents do want to be my family again? I hate this. Why did he have to show up? I curled up in a ball on the bench before feeling a hand on my head. I glanced up to see Tamaki there. How you doing, little man? Hey, Tamaki. I glanced down after seeing who it was. Nejire told me what happened. How are you holding up? I didn't answer for him to understand what's going on. It's that rough on you, huh? Can't blame you, to say the least. I finally broke my silence when I began asking a question that's on my mind. Should I? He glanced down at me before asking. Excuse me? Should I try and reconcile with my birth parents? I mean, they did kick me out and I can't forgive them for that. But they're still my only biological family I have. If I refuse them, it's like I'm refusing myself. I held my knees tighter to my chest before Tamaki spoke up. Let me ask you something, Izuku. You remember when Mirko was mad at you for nearly burning the house down? I was hungry, so I was trying to make something on the stove. When she found out that you did something like that, she got mad at you for not asking her or Fat to help you. I began remembering the fact she gave me one hell of an earful during that. Fat said that when you left to your room, she was scared she was too hard on you. You were hungry and you weren't exactly adjusted to normal life yet again. She was scared out of her mind more that you'd get hurt above anything else that day. I started to remember some of the times where Mom would scold me for doing the wrong thing that could have ended much worse, and times she's commended me for succeeding. The point I'm trying to make is, who is the person who's been in your corner since you were 6? Mom. Who actually cares if you do right or wrong, since it'll better you in the long run? Mom. And who at least gives a damn enough about you to help you instead of walking into your personal life and only making more issues than you need? Mom. Tamaki started to hug me, causing me to hug him back. I know they're your own flesh and blood, and I have no right to jump into that. But Mirko thinks of you as her own as well and wants the best for you. I buried my face in his chest while hugging tighter. They came to your house earlier today. The Midoriyas. Wait, how do you? Nejire also found out that from your mom, who was trying to stop this before it got out of hand. She didn't interfere because this would just make things worse. I didn't know what to say before feeling Tamaki let go to stare at me in the face. I can't help you with the decision to offer the Midoriyas a second chance. But no matter what, I'm with you and so is everyone else. We just want what's best for you and nothing more. I began wiping my tears away before smiling. Thank you, Tamaki. He ruffled my hair before blushing a bit. You're a lot more radiant when you smile. It makes it hard to speak with you though. I couldn't help but laugh a little knowing Tamaki's still Tamaki no matter what. At that moment, I remembered a song I found out how to play. Hey Tamaki, do you mind if I play something? He smiled before nodding. Go ahead. UEPOV. Everyone began to meet back up at a park where we went over where we searched. Any luck? Sorry. We started to lose a little hope before hearing guitar strings. What's that? We began walking towards the strumming to see Izuku and Amajiki on a bench. What's he doing? SHH. I tried to have Yaoyorozu quiet down before hearing Izuku play. As he did, I began to feel his heart play out in front of us and see just what he felt. I could tell he was at an impasse right now with wanting to believe in the fact his parents may want to do right, but also afraid they aren't going to and just hurt him in the end. Somewhere in the middle, I noticed a woman walk over with hearing the lyrics and feeling hurt. Isn't that Izuku's biological mother? Nejire asked me to take a closer look and notice her facial features were the same as Izuku's. Must be. When Izuku was at the end of the song, Amajiki began patting his head to earn a smile on his face. You're a good kid, Izuku. Even those who shouldn't get one, you think deserve at least some form of a second chance. Yeah. Izuku. The woman walked up to them with worry being obvious in Izuku's face. Hey. Mom. The woman looked away before correcting him. I think I've lost that right to be called that by you. There was a silence in the air before she spoke up. Izuku, are you happy with the life you have? Izuku thought for a second before answering. Yeah. I have a lot of people who care about me who I care for just as much. He smiled saying this to make Mrs. Midoriya feel even more guilt. Izuku, I know this doesn't make it up to you after everything that your father and I put you through, but I'm really sorry. I let myself be blinded by the vanity of possibly having a son with a strong quirk that I never saw you as anything more than someone who could benefit me. I was a horrible mother if at all one, and I don't deserve to be one anymore. Nejire and Shiozaki were about to storm in there to beat the crap out of Mrs. Midoriya, with me stopping them, so I can see where this goes. Look. No matter what your father says, do not come back to us. This comment surprised everyone as she continued. Your father wants you back just for the fact he can hold some gain in life from you. The only reason I'm telling you this is because I've realized after meeting Mirko and Ryukyu slowly just what I missed and failed to do. From the moment you came into this world, I had one job regarding you. Help you grow into a man that is able to stand on his own 2 feet. In a greedy desire, I treated that trust you had in me as nothing of significant value. Now you're a strong-willed boy that can stand on his own thanks to who raised you and being raised right. Because of this, me and the man who should have been your father are now strangers to you. For your own good, you should remain with the people that truly care for you and want the best for you before any gain for themselves. This is the closest I can do to the right thing for you, so please say no to Hisashi. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. From what I thought, Inko was a bitch that deserved a few solid punches to the face. But now I see that she actually feels bad for what she did. If you want to yell at me, scream, say any type of insult to me, you have every right to. She held her head down with Izuku's fist shaking in anger. Why? She didn't flinch as Izuku asked his question in more detail. Why did you agree to abandon me? I was your son just as much as his, so why? I could see some tears falling off Izuku's face as she answered. I have no excuse for what I did. I honestly don't know why I gave into my own greed as opposed to my own son. But this is where we stand and now we've come to this crossroad. I couldn't believe how angry I was seeing Izuku. I've seen him mad, but right now he was fueled with nothing but rage with just a hairline of composure keeping him from letting it all loose. I'm sorry that I came back into your life. I'll leave and you'll never see me again. Mrs. Midoriya started to leave before Izuku said one final thing. I truly hate what you both did. No matter what, I will never forgive you for that. But if I hold on to this rage, it'll only hurt me even more. If I gave you a chance, would you be more than willing to at least try to have some kind of relationship that can start for me trusting you again? I don't deserve it. But if you do, I will do everything in my power to be someone worth your trust. I began to see Izuku glow green before a smile grew on his face. That's all the proof I need to know you're sincere. He walked over to Mrs. Midoriya to hug her. I saw tears in her eyes as she hugged back. Izuku, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm so sorry. She couldn't stop crying as they embraced for a bit of time. So she really does feel bad for what she did. Kendo smiled a bit before leaning on a tree. Guess even the people we think don't sometimes deserve a second chance. Izuku POV. After hugging my former mother, mom and Aunt Ryu found us. Izuku. You okay? They seemed a little tired with the man we would rather not see behind them. There you are, son. Did you think it over enough? He smiled at me before I answered. Yes, and I can't go back with you. What? You and mom hurt me too much for us to have a normal family again. But I will give you one chance to become someone worthy of being in my life again. I don't know if you are or aren't yet, but I want to know if you'd be willing to try to have some kind of relationship where I can trust you again. He was silent before answering. Yeah, sure. There was a silence in the air with nothing happening. I know that's a lie. Excuse me? I gave a similar question to Mrs. Midoriya before with my quirk activating after. I genuinely wanted to give you both chances to at least remaining in my life. She wanted to at least be something to me, while you don't. The only way I know is my quirk needs mutual friendship. If you don't desire for something minimal like that, it doesn't work. He began to become fumed with this before shouting. I don't need some stupid ass quirk telling me what you should and shouldn't do. You are my son and you're coming with me. Mom immediately gave him a kick to the gut to level him. That was for yelling at my son and making him upset today. Mrs. Midoriya walked over to drag her husband away while bowing. I'm sorry if he caused any issues. We'll be on our way now. She started to walk away before mom spoke up. Hey. Mrs. Midoriya turned around to see a smile on mom's face. If you want to see Izuku again, feel free to come over on Saturdays. She smiled at this before thanking us and walking away with a semi-conscious Hisashi. You did good, Izuku. Mom came over to pat my head with a frown on her face. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I tried to keep you out of this, but it backfired. I shook my head before smiling. It's not your fault. I had to do this eventually. She smiled at me before I was tackle-hugged by the girls. From what I could tell, they all were listening and happy that I was able to come out of this without issues. One thing I knew for a fact though, I'm happy my life turned out the way it did. Izuku POV. After the days off we had, school started back up for me and everyone. Wish it didn't rain the first day back. Yeah, shroom. It's so dreary out. Yui and Kino had a conversation about the weather while my mind was in another place. Please pick up the pace, you three. We are UA students, so being early is our objective. Iida came running past us and made a wave past him. He's fast. Yeah, like a car shroom. The girls started laughing while I remembered something bad that happened. Upon my time talking with Iida, I learned that he was Ingenium's younger brother. I also found out the other day about the attack on the Turbo Hero and that he's not in the best condition right now. Izuku? Huh? I'm pulled out of my thought process when I noticed we were at school. You okay? I'm fine, Yui. I was just lost in thought for a few minutes. You seem to be doing that a lot lately, shroom. I smiled and laughed it off. I guess my mind has been a bit preoccupied lately. Let's go before we're late. We walked into the building to get to our lockers to change our shoes and get to class. Once in the classroom, Iida seemed a bit out of it and not as normal stiff of a self. I personally thought he could dial it back a bit, but this was weird. Iida. You okay? I decided to talk to him with my friend putting on a fake smile. Why yes. I apologize if I may have seemed a tad strange. I knew he was lying, but I didn't want to call him out on it, afraid to touch a sore spot. If you need to talk, know I'm here for you. I appreciate the offer, Yu Sagayama. I walked back to my desk with Mr. Izawa walking in shortly after. Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Izawa. Walking in, our teacher had a lack of bandages which relieved us a bit. It's good to see you without any bandages on, Sir Ribbit. Yeah, the old lady did a larger amount during the break. Not proud of the fact I was out cold for a large amount of time. He gave some emphasis on some scar on his lower eye. Anyway, we have a special class for hero informatics. Everyone held their breaths thinking we were getting a pop quiz. You all need to think of hero names. Everyone's fear went to joy. Shut up. Mr. Izawa showed his quirk to force everyone to remain quiet. These hero names will be important for a work study you all will be doing a week from now. In this, you will be learning on the field with a pro. Mr. Izawa turned to the side to present a board of names and numbers beside them. The people on this board are those who had obtained picks from agencies due to them finding interest in them. Looking at the board, I noticed I had quite a few to make me rather happy that I'm doing something right. Shoto Todoroki. 4123, Izuku Yu Sagayama. 3901, Katsuki Bakugo. 3556, Fumikage Tokoyami. 390, Tenyu Iida. 301, Denki Kaminari. 272, Momoyeo Erozu. 108, Ijiro Kirishima. 68, Ichako Uraraka. 20, Hantashiro. 14. The picks are normally more diverse, but our top 3 took most of them. I'm surprised you didn't get the most votes, Izuku. Yeah. You got first and beat Todoroki, yet you didn't get as many as him. It's not an issue, Zero. Besides, it all depends on who scouted me. Regardless of how many offers you got, you all will still be performing in this work study. Also, don't get too disappointed in this. An agency can give you an offer or retract it during your time here. I smiled at this, knowing everyone wouldn't have to worry about coming up with nothing. For those that didn't get any offers, you'll be picking from a list of 40 agencies with a respected history with us. Now for the second half. We have a guest here to help with coming up with names. Hero names can be something for life. So it's best to choose something that isn't indecent, or there will be hell to pay. On cue, Midnight walked in to stand at the front. When thinking of hero names, it is sometimes best to think of one that's specified around who you are or your quirk. As Midnight said, hero names can be permanent from here onward. So as to prevent any future issues, Midnight will tell you if they're alright or not. Once this was said, Azawa pulled his sleeping bag up to pass out on the floor. I gotta find out how he can be so relaxed enough to sleep in front of his class. Midnight passed out dry erase boards and markers for us to begin writing down ideas for names. Once 15 minutes were up, we were allowed to begin presenting what we had. Aoyama went first with his being well. I cannot stop twinkling. That's a whole sentence. This guy is literally a man that takes the word flamboyant a bit too far. If you change the can not to can't and take out the I, it works. Midnight made a small correction for our French classmate to agree with it. Mercy, madam. When he stepped down, Mina went next with hers. Oh. Me next. My hero name will be the Alien Queen. As in that monster from the second movie. Rejected. Midnight immediately said this for Mina's demeanor to crumble. Dang it. After her, some others went to have their names accepted. Some went with ideas similar to their quirks, while others went with names to honor some. Todoroki, on the other hand, used his own name. It was accepted, but I personally thought it was him still trying to get over his personal issues. Finally, it came to some of the last few people, with Kachin going first. King Explosion Murder. That's too violent. Fine. Lord Explosion Murder. Again, too violent. Kachin seemed to have an issue finding his own name, with my searching coming up useless as well. Since it's hard for someone like me to think of a name that describes my quirk, I didn't put as much thought into it growing up. I thought of going with something like Copycat, but that's kinda incorrect since I use the other person's quirk in my own way. What should I choose? I'm pulled out of my thought process when I noticed Ichako walk up to the podium. The Gravity Hero. Uravity. Hers was accepted, with Iida, me, and Kachin being the only ones without a name. Eventually, Iida went to the podium to show his first name. You're using your first name as well? Alright, accepted. Now the tension is on. Everyone's thought of a name, but I can't at all. At that moment, I remembered a name that my mother said that I was like to write down. Once I finished, I walked up to the podium to reveal it. Why that one man? The way wolves hunt is never alone. Each wolf has the backing of the entire pack when facing someone kinda like me. My power comes from those that have my back, so I decided to make a name similar to this. The Friendship Hero? Akamure, a shortened version of Akami no Mura wolf pack in Japanese. Midnight gave a thumbs up for me to smile. At least that's over. Later that evening. For the last 2 hours, I've been sitting on the couch organizing my offers to try and think of what I should do for my work study. If I think about this rationally, I have the ability to do combat, support, and ground control. When that's in the mix, my options are linked to ones that can give me the chance to do all 3. Only issue is, rarely does a pro-hero agency offer things like that. I was so focused on my work that I completely missed the door opening and mom charging me. Look out. I looked to see her tackle me to the ground and put me in a chokehold. You give, Ga. I give. She let go shortly after for me to catch my breath. Can you just say hello like a normal person? Not my fault you're so caught up in your stuff that you can't see an obvious attack coming. Says the woman attacking me. We started laughing a bit before getting up to recompose ourselves. So what you up to? I'm trying to think of a good offer I can take for a work study I'm doing. I was thinking of doing one where I can train in all 3 positions of heroics, but not many specify like that. After that, I was thinking of someone that could maybe think outside the box for fighting, so I can help get into that area of thinking more. But again, that's a bit of a shot in the dark. Mom started looking through the offers a bit to smirk. You got a lot of offers here. Not bad. Doesn't make going through them any easier. I started to sigh a bit with Mom noticing it. What's wrong? It's nothing. Izuku, don't lie to me. I know when you lie. I glanced away a bit before Mom grabbed my neck to put me in a chokehold. What's the problem? Jaya. I can't breathe. Tell me what is you looking like a mopey sack of crap. I started to have difficulties breathing to admit defeat. Okay. I'll tell you, so just let me breathe. Mom let go for me to point out my issue. You remember what happened to Ingenium, right? He got attacked by the hero killer. What about it? Iida might be thinking to go after Stain. Mom stayed quiet before beginning again. You realize I may have to report this now that you said someone is willing to act on vigilante acts, right? I know you have to, but can you please just let this play out as is for now? You go and stop Iida now. That'll only push him to go after him more. With right now me being physically scared he might get hurt. If he does, and I could have stopped though, I don't think I can live with myself. Unfortunately, I can't jump right into this issue since his brother meant the world to Iida. So you're saying that you want to help but don't want to get involved in something bad? I nod for Mom to think about this. Then why don't you try and go with an agency near Hosu that's on the case? Great idea, except for one problem. Who's on the case? Mom went through her phone on the Pro Hero page to write a couple of names on the piece of paper. Most were big names that everyone knew. These guys are the ones on the hero killer case, with them going into Hosu. If you want to help your friend, going with one of these is your most likely best bet. I glanced at the names to find any that offered me an offer to circle about 10. This alone dropped my amount of offers amazingly. So you've got an idea for one yet? Looking at the 10, I figured 4 of the 10 would be kinda pointless since they weren't high-ranking names. Native wasn't exactly a hero I could take much on, but one in particular stood out for me. I think I did. For my work study, I'll put in a request for Gang Orca. With the way you act around other people, that's probably the best offer. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get some grub. I made a plate for you in the oven, should still be warm. Thanks. I began to clean up and put everything into a folder that I can come back to later. If I was given them as offers, there's gotta be something down the road that these can help with. 1 week later. The time of the work study had begun with all of us preparing to leave. Make sure to be on your best behaviors for the pros you're doing this with. Also, you do not have authority to wear your costumes unless you're told it's alright. Yes, sir. We started heading our separate ways before I stopped Iida for a second. Iida. I don't know what you're going to do exactly, but please be careful. It's alright, Yu Sagayama. I'll be fine. He walked away with my gut not exactly calmer. Guess I have to trust him. I got on my train to notice Jiru on it as well. Hey. What's up, man? I sat by her as we talked a bit. So where are you doing your work study? Death Arms. I figured learning a bit of combat from a pro like him could work well. Yourself? Gang Orca. He's pretty dependent and throws an aura of leadership with him. If I can gain some form of motivation like that, I can be pretty strong on my feet. I think you're strong on your feet already though. You're really cool and awesome with how you throw your weight around. I smiled a bit at this before hearing someone speak. Check out that kid's eye? Sheesh, bet that must have stung. I immediately regressed hearing them talk about my eye to hide it with my hand. And just like that your confidence drops. Not surprised though. We continued talking a bit until my stop came to say goodbye. Jiru gave me a fist bump before I went off to walk towards Gang Orca's agency. Once outside, I started to feel a bit nervous. Just relax, Izuku. He's not a villain. I opened the door to see a receptionist. Excuse me, but my name is Izuku Yu Sagayama, and I had spoken to Gang Orca about a work study with him. Is there a chance you could help me with where to go? Oh yes. Follow the hall down, and Gang Orca's office will be the one at the end. You can't miss it. I thanked the woman before walking down the hall. When I got to the door, I knocked a few times for someone to answer. Enter. When I walked inside, I noticed a whale-looking pro hero behind his desk. So you're my work study student for the week? Yes, sir. My name is Izuku Yu Sagayama. My hero name is Akamur Mirko's son, huh? I heard you're quite the little spitfire from what she said. Gang Orca got out of his seat to walk towards me. He seemed to look really mad before being directly in front of me and looking down. My anxiety was starting to go through the roof, seeing the hulking killer whale stare me down. Nice to have you on board. Gang Orca gave his hand out for me to shake. Thanks. Now that we've got introductions out of the way, we can get down to business. Sit. I sat in the chair across from him as he sat back behind his desk. Your mother told me that you have a friend you want to help and that the main reason you chose my agency is to try and help him? I turned away and nodded. The hero killer hurt my friend Ida really badly by attacking his brother. He prided himself to be just like Ingenium to the point I'm afraid he may do something he'll regret. I don't know what I can do, but as a hero in training. No. As his friend, I need to do something to help him. Gang Orca stared at me before answering. You don't need to hide the fact you're scared out of your mind. Anyone who'd be worried about possibly facing the hero killer is. However, you aren't a hero and saying this to me is grounds for me to bring in the boy you're talking about. I started going pale hearing this. Though your worry for your friend overwhelms your fear of what'll happen. Your heart's in the right place with you wanting to help someone because you deem it right. For us heroes, courage and our self-morals go hand in hand. Now I will say going against a hero killer is foolish on both your parts, but diving into hell just to save someone who could die is the exact example of what heroes do on a daily basis. Gang Orca went into his desk to pull out a form. He passed it to me with the name of Chizumakaguro on it. That's all the information on who your friend is targeting. Learn what you can before we go out tomorrow to Hosu. I nodded my head as he led me through the agency for a tour. That is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. And please comment down below what you guys want to see next. I'll see you in the next video.